Tonight on KGW News, a community learns two neighbors have been charged with murder in the death of a family member.
I still have a hard time believing this whole thing.
Plus, Wall Street takes another slide.
Hunker down, we might be on for a little bit of a ride for a while.
So what do you do when confidence slips and uncertainty lingers? And later, from the love shack to the love tax? Why some Washington lawmakers want to charge when it comes to your search for love. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Mulco. We begin at 11 in Columbia County, where neighbors in Scappoose say they are in shock after they say a mother and her adult daughter were arrested and charged with the murder of a family member. John Adams with our top story.
Residents in a Scappoose neighborhood are still trying to grapple with what exactly happened at this two-story home on Southwest Linden Street. On Wednesday, 63-year-old Catherine Reyna and 31-year-old Hillary Murphy were arrested in connection to Benjamin Murphy's death. Neighbors tell us they were the mother and sister of Murphy, who suffered from numerous disabilities.
Like I said, he was autistic. He had trouble, mobility problems, and I've seen him in and out of a wheelchair, but his mother usually helped him.
Officials say Benjamin Murphy died on March 6th, but his death wasn't reported for 3 days. He had been under the care and supervision of Reyna and Hillary Murphy. Neighbors we spoke with tell us they saw investigators searching around the family's home after his death.
A month ago, I saw them, kind of taking stuff out of the house, and it made me wonder what was going on.
Prosecutors allege that Reyna and Hillary Murphy were responsible for his death through intentional maltreatment and neglect. They face multiple charges, including murder in the first degree. These charges all come as a shock to neighbors who thought of the family as good people.
Had no idea that it was considered foul play. I'm still, I believe the jury's still out on that. I still have a hard time believing this whole thing.
John Adams, KGW News.
To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, Portland police have arrested a second person in connection with a deadly stabbing at a hotel near PDX. Investigators say 55-year-old Anthony Staggs turned himself in yesterday. Now, back on March 21st, police found 26-year-old Drew Courtwright dead inside the Sojourn Suites. Courtwright's mother telling us he was staying at the hotel with his girlfriend when they heard a knock at the door. The other suspect, 42-year-old Mitch Brian Schoonover, was arrested a few days later. A man wanted in connection with a Portland homicide last month has now been arrested in Texas. 33-year-old Kevin Reinhart was shot and killed at a Hazelwood neighborhood apartment complex on East Burnside in early March. On Monday, U.S. Marshals tracked down and arrested 35-year-old Shay Bell in the city of Killeen. Bell will be extradited back to Oregon to face charges that include second-degree murder. And Metro is proposing significant cuts to its arts and visitors venues as it tries to trim more than $18 million from its budget. The city-owned Portland 5 Centers for the Arts, including the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall and Keller Auditorium, are facing a nearly 20% drop in funding and the elimination of 12 full-time jobs. Metro leaders say bookings for big shows have recovered to pre-pandemic levels, but attendance has dropped for nonprofits like the Oregon Symphony and Oregon's Children's Theater. Metro is also looking to cut about 21 jobs at the Oregon Convention Center and the Portland Expo Center. Okay, let's take you outside on this Thursday night, Friday Eve, where we started dry, saw the rain move in, and then dried out again. It feels a little rinse and repeat, right? Chief Meteorologist Matt Zafinos here. So, Matt, what's on tap for Friday?
Friday's going to be a pretty good day. We're going to dry things out overnight tonight. We still have a few clouds around, of course, 54 degrees. The cloud cover will help keep temperatures warmer than they otherwise would be for the overnight hours. And on Doppler radar, we got a few sprinkles, but very few and far between and really light. Now, the roads and the surfaces still wet out there, but you can see there's not much left on radar anywhere, including up in the Cascades. However, when we look at the pass cams, there's Government Camp. Check out Sandy Ant Pass. Snow is a-flying up there. There may be an inch or two of new snow by tomorrow morning up in the Cascades. Wasn't really that much rain in the valleys, less than 1/10 of an inch in most spots, up to near 1/4 of an inch over on the Oregon coast. So that is all in our past. What's in our future? Clouds in the morning, 45 degrees. By noontime, the sun is breaking through those clouds. They don't completely clear tomorrow, and we will get into some showers on Saturday, but very, very light. And I think you're going to love what comes after that. David?
I like the sound of that. Thank you, Matt. Call it Thursday turmoil following Wednesday whiplash, with the market erasing some of yesterday's rally amidst ongoing uncertainty surrounding the president's tariffs, particularly when it comes to China. The major indices all down between 2.5% and 4.5%. Japan's Nikkei extending that slide right now. Meanwhile, the tariff rate on Chinese imports now sitting at 145%, with Beijing giving no indication that it is open to negotiating. So as the markets continue to swing and businesses big and small start to feel the impacts, lots of folks are wondering what they should or should not do to protect their retirement plans. Catherine Cook talked with a financial planner about the best way to ride out this storm.
If you're like me, you've been checking your retirement account a lot lately, and it doesn't feel great. But experts say the important thing is to have a plan, stick with it, stay diversified, and take the long view, even if retirement is right around the corner.
This is just part of being invested in the markets. We're going to go through ups, we're going to go through downs.
Linda Carroll is a financial advisor for Momentous Wealth Management. We talked with her last week when the market started to dive.
Yeah, I know it can be a really scary time, especially when we have these periods where markets drop really quickly.
Update, they're still dropping.
Well, we're still experiencing a lot of volatility.
Which, as we've learned, may not matter too much in the long term, as experts say the market will eventually rebound. But what if you're about to retire?
You don't need every single dollar that you've saved for retirement in the first day you retire.
Carol says long-term investment strategies still apply to you.
We use the bucket strategy where we're really looking at short-term monies. Let's keep those in safer cash and cash-like instruments. But money that you need longer term, 10, 15, 20 years down the line in your long, hopefully long retirement, it's okay to keep those invested and keep those in markets to work for the long term, because that's your best hedge against inflation.
Carol says as the value of your shares rise and fall, remember, you still own your shares. That won't change, despite the certain uncertainty that lies ahead.
Hunker down, we might be on for a little bit of a ride for a while.
In Vancouver, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
New tonight, Oregon's Attorney General has joined 15 other states in a lawsuit against the Trump administration, this time to restore access to federal education funds that support low-income and unhoused students. That's as Dan Rayfield heard from Oregonians on what they are most worried about. Alma McCarty was at the town hall this evening. Alma.
Yeah, well, David, Oregon's AG stood alongside his Arizona counterpart, fielding questions around Medicare to Social Security, cuts to federal programs, to big shifts in immigration policies, with people who attended widely worried about the path forward.
The chaos is the point. And the hurt is the point.
Amid uncertainties that worry many constituents.
And we knew we were going to have to do everything we could.
Attorneys General Dan Rayfield and Chris Mays committed to holding nationwide town halls.
These harms are real to people.
Thursday nights in Portland. Oregonians here touched on their wide-ranging fears and concerns, among them Social Security.
I was born in 1938, and Social Security was just getting started.
Ben Fain Jr. is a former TriMet bus driver who spent 26 years behind the wheel.
I've been on Social Security now for 23 years. I doubt if I'll live 133 years, but I would like to have Social Security as long as I am alive.
Others speaking out on the transgender military service ban.
It would take me 10 years to unpack and unlock the ability to be myself.
The fears from the immigrant communities.
If they are deported or they go back to their home country, they are going to suffer from brutal activities of the vicious Taliban there.
And the protection of national lands.
We've got to defend our national forests, our BLM forests, our BLM rangelands.
Rayfield vowing not only to listen, but to act.
And they're doing this in a dark room and without public input.
As the president and his team defend their sweeping actions as necessary to reduce the size and scope of the federal government, Rayfield says Democratic AGs aren't slowing down when it comes to keeping the administration in check.
We do not file lawsuits if we do not believe and we do not have facts to show that the Constitution has been violated.
And speaking of immigration, this evening, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled the Trump administration must, quote, facilitate the return of a man the White House admits was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. That ruling did not provide a deadline. David?
Thanks, Helma. Appreciate your reporting tonight. Let us circle back to Oregon, though, because the governor is now asking the Education Department to, quote, hold the line when it comes to President Trump's executive order targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts in public schools. Oregon relies on federal dollars for about 14% of its K-12 budget. Last week, federal officials sent a letter to school leaders nationwide giving them 10 days to comply or to potentially lose their funding. That's now been pushed back until April 24th as legal challenges play out here. But today, Oregon's Education Department released a letter saying Oregon is in full compliance with federal anti-discrimination laws. Essentially, they're not blinking here. It also argued the Trump administration cannot unilaterally strip funding Congress has already allocated. We'll see what happens.